Well, here is one of my boxes of coaching stock that I'm slowly building up for the future layout. There's a good collection of Network Southeast, but I happened to come upon some Mark IIIs. They were from the same guy that was kind enough to give me a railway layout and a lot of track. He had these Jouffe French Mark IIIs, which are a bit bigger than the Hornby variant, because these actually have the correct number of windows. They were a good price. There was 4 of them, which are buried underneath the rest of these. But there's one slight issue. If the light will pick up, you can see they're unfortunately all devoid of the coach connector for some unknown reason. They have multi couplings. Some have got the Hornby style like that on one end, and that coupling, and the other European drop hoop sort of, I don't know what the technical name for them is, that one there. Anyway, I thought maybe I can make one, so I managed to buy another one for reasonable money off of Evil Bay, which has the ends on it, with a view to buying some plastic strip card and fabricating something that looks remotely like that. I mean, let's face it, when they're end to end you don't see any of this in here. So I was about to order some little strip styrene to copy this to some fashion, and I happened to see a listing for coach parts, various bits of whatever cannibalised interior parts, which I think, looking at them, unless the Lima ones are exactly the same, these are Jouffe Lima, but they're the same guts as them. There's a few of these, obviously they're Mark III interiors, but I have got some older coaches that Triang Hornby saw fit not to bother putting seats in. I know they're not quite period specific, but then when they're going around at that speed you're not going to see, are you? And I don't quite know where these fit in the equation. Coach end glazing, but I ended up with all of them and all of these, and I'm pretty sure they belong straight on there. I can clip it in one-handed, which is highly unlikely, so we'll pause. And we're back. Yeah, bish bash bosh. I call that a result. How lucky am I to find quite a few coach ends that actually fit the ready coach you bought. The modelling gods have favoured me on this rare occasion. There's nothing on them, so it doesn't say whether they are Hornby, Lima, whatever. Who cares? They fit. They look the same. Jobs are good, and I don't have to mess around with liquid cement and try and make something that wouldn't have looked as good as that. So, what else have we been hoovering up this week? Buried under this piece of plastic is a Hornby Railroad Class 37 we'll have a look at in a mo. Just a little basic railroad version. It hasn't got any lights in it, but you can see very clean. Doesn't look like it's done a huge amount of work, but someone has unfortunately took the DCC TTS sound chip out of it. It's just got the blanking plate in a minute, so we've got to test that on the DC just to make sure she runs okay. But less than 45 quid, you can't complain really, can you? And for the road side of, ooh, we picked up a, I think it's a Scanie, bit modern for me, yeah, Scanie, and the telescopic trailer along with a, I can't stand Stobart, I don't know why everything it seems to be Stobart, but the civil engineering excavator, which I've already got one of these. But I'm planning round my neck of the woods, the only time you see one of these long reach excavators is clearing out the dikes and drains with a large bucket on, so that may get a little rework, a repaint, maybe try and fabricate a dredging bucket, and that'll be clearing out the Finland drain somewhere. So we've had a few scores this last couple of weeks, bits and pieces, and a little bit of luck finding these coach ends. And I'll just grab this instant brambles. This is the sort of synthetic horsehair that's used in upholstery. There's a guy on eBay sells it for about £3 including postage for a reasonable sized square. Second one I bought, but this is a darker colour, so this will spray up better. And a little bit of sprinkle on it, you tease it out. And one thing you always have on the railway line is a fenced embankment, and then it's miles of brambles. It is round this way anyway. Not much need for it. We've got Mother Nature's bob wire, as I call it. So that was another little bargain. So we'll update you a little bit on what's going on down the shed. Another little acquisition for the fleet was this little Class 20 chopper. This is an earlier Bachmann one with the 8-pin. But still, again, no chip unfortunately. I've got to start stocking up on some decent 8-pin chips that don't break the bank. And put this into service, but I've tested it on DC rather, not DCC, and she's running good. I also, we're slowly building up the fleet, managed to pick up, I think it was off S&J, a Hornby variant for £57 I think it was, and the other one I got from them to complete my, well not complete, but to add to my Network South East fleet is the London Evening Standard, which again I think it was a sort of, someone's bought it and never used it because there's virtually no marks on the wheels from any rail wear, and it will go nicely with the fellow Network South East stablemate Newlynn, my hometown. So I believe there are another 2 rarities that were done by Bachmann as well as Lima. So I'm on the hunt for the other 2, which I think is the County of Norfolk and Great Eastern. If anyone knows whether there's any Bachmann variants lurking. Well, a few days before I complete the video, but unfortunately, yes, the layout's been in the shed in storage here out of the way. Well, I thought it was out of the way, but as you can see down there, we have sustained a little bit of damage, and somehow something's caught that, and you know, minus a turnout. So it'll need a little bit of TLC before I press it back into use, because in that junk filled brewery, which has been an eBay sales office as well, so I get rid of some of my beer equipment, I am down to I've stripped the 2 main running lengths of board off. They're completely bare now. unfortunately. It's a bit sad having to take it apart. It would have been nice to have kept it and been able to use it, but yeah, it's just too big. So we're just left with the four corners, which I don't seem to be able to get off. I don't know whether when he constructed it he used waterproof glue on this stage, or I've only tackled this one so far. But the usual sort of softening it up with a sprinkle of water, spraying this to weaken the PVA, removing the track nails, and either cutting this piece off or breaking it off where the he's used brass screws or tacks and then soldered it to the rail, and then used wires underneath to connect it, and then these little multi-pin sockets and plugs to connect each piece together in turn. I can't seem to lift these off. Obviously I don't want to destroy it. The whole point of stripping this down was to try and salvage some of the track. Seems it's so bloody expensive now, and some of the points I won't be able to use them on. They're the wrong geometry to try and salvage and use on the other little layout I just showed you. And some of them are a bit Heath Robinson. He's had a go at making his own and doing tie bars. There's even one there with buried under this lot somewhere that's completely sort of fabricated, from a bit of a Frankenstein point somewhere under here. But this is most of what we've saved. Is a reasonable sort of, no good lengths, but a foot or so. But yeah, I mean they're usable. I've cleaned them up a little bit. Obviously they'll get re-weathered. If I did use them in a main area, I'll probably stick sort of this salvage stuff into the bottom level, which will be sort of like a staging area and fiddle yard. Some of the points have sort of sustained a bit of damage, whether it's, I've just bought some of those track screws, so my idea is that I don't think that's standard. I think that's why it's had a bit added on there, but stuff like this, if it's usable and I test it, and I think some of them have been modified. You see, that's an insel frog. There are some that are electro frogs, but I just bought an absolute boatload off a guy on one of the selling groups on Facebook. They're minus the springs in the tie bars. These have still got the springs in, and we took the springs out because of the point motors, but it's not really necessary, I've never found. But going back to the track screws, my idea is to secure any points down with track screws and wire them in such a manner that any sort of electrical connections would be remote. So, you know, if there's power going here, I will bridge it here. So should a point fail or become problematic, it would literally be a matter of undoing the screws and disconnecting the wire and then lifting it out and transplanting a new one, rather than sort of having to pull up lengths of track afterwards because you've soldered the joints here. I'm going to leave them so that they are maintenance friendly should there be issues. As I watched Alan at Dragon Junction the other week, sort of ended up ripping out about 3 metres of track just to replace a couple of dicky turnouts. But there's all sorts of bits here. They'll go in a box and become useful for something, I'm sure. There's another one where I've got a few more I bought off a guy on eBay, and he sort of blamed his illness for the lack of accuracy on his description when a load turned up like this. It was sort of basically, well, spares or repairs, and they were sold as good points, but we come to an agreement. So I have a number of turnouts in various conditions, but obviously the better stuff will go on the primary layout on the scenic areas, and other bits will stay on below decks, as it were, so that if there are issues they're off scene, and they'll be easier for me to access, and using the screwing method and wiring them individually up to the next section. So as I said, you can just remove them. This one, I have got a couple of sort of fairly newish ones of these. I wouldn't have normally entertained buying these because I think they're about 45 quid, which is a fair old chunk of money for me to incorporate into a layout. But the job lot I bought off of another chap, I sort of bought 2 lots. I might, well, I've sort of processed them and catalogued them and put them away in my box for storage now. But it's a good chunk. I've got a fair, about 60 or 70 points of varying degrees. Some are better than others. A lot of them are Insel Frog though, but I will modify them to be more DCC friendly. Here's one I think that's had a little bit of surgery on it, but yeah, all stuff like this I'll go through it, build. I'm not going to put anything in that's going to be a waste of time doing. There's sort of bits like this where they've sort of put bridging wires in. I've even got one in the house where they've painted the sleeper with conductive paint to bridge the electric little wire point. And we've got sort of like the remnants of the station, which I don't know, I might just cannibalise it for some items if the little advertising posters all come off, and you know, we'll see when the time comes. I think there's the remnants of a Hornby buffer stop there. But yeah, all the sort of primary bits are ripped off of it now. There's bits that aren't much use, things like this. I'll probably just junk a lot of those bits, but electrical tags and things like that I've saved. And there's another one of the Heath Robinson points, but yeah, we'll see. The way I look at it is, you know, it's either money I haven't got to spend or money I wouldn't have spent. So, yeah, still got to carry on with these. See if I can do anything with these. Give it a few more meters of track, and carry on with the other 2. There's another one somewhere. Then I've got to find somewhere to find a home for these because I don't want to trash them. And at the minute I'm a bit strapped for storage because I'm in the process of clearing out my garage because it needs a new roof on it. So I'm trying to take all of this crap you accumulate in the loft space of a garage and anything else that's going to be subject to damage, oh dear, and find a home for it all. So that's about it for this week, and a little update. I have another one video which will be another little wagon repair thing, I think, unless I tag it into this. Depends on the length. Anyway, I will bore you no longer. Cheerio.